Do you remember your first theme park ride? The laughter, the magic, the music in the air? Now imagine returning and finding it empty, decaying, silent. What happened to the places that once made millions smile? In this video, we take you back, not to relive joy, but to reveal the ruins of California's forgotten wonderlands. We promise, every moment will stir your heart and unlock a piece of history you never knew existed. Frontier Village, California. Step back in time to the Wild West, if you dare. Tucked away in San Jose once stood Frontier Village, a Western-themed amusement park that brought cowboys, outlaws, and gold rush dreams to life. Opened in 1961, it was a family-friendly fantasyland filled with saloons, gunfights, covered wagons, and costumed actors who made you feel like you were living in an old Western film. Children rode miniature trains, watched daring bank robberies unfold, and tried their hands at panning for gold. Frontier Village wasn't just a park, it was a frontier world brought to life, one handshake and hay bale at a time. But as Silicon Valley grew, the land it sat on became more valuable than the fantasy it created. By 1980, despite its loyal following, the park was sold to real estate developers. Bulldozers arrived, and the clapboard buildings and dusty paths were torn down to make way for modern housing. Today, the area is known as Edenvale Garden Park, but beneath the greenery, shadows of the past remain. Some original trees from the park still stand. Playland, San Francisco, California. Where the Pacific surf meets the foggy western edge of San Francisco, once stood a place bursting with lights, laughter, and wild seaside thrills, Playland at the beach. What began in the 1910s as a collection of carnival rides and food stands near Ocean Beach grew into a full-fledged amusement park by the 1920s, stretching over 10 blocks and becoming one of the city's most beloved landmarks. Playland was a sensory explosion. The fun house, with its spinning discs and laughing clown, terrified and thrilled generations. The Big Dipper roller coaster rumbled along the coastline, and the air smelled of salt, popcorn, and It's-It ice cream sandwiches, which were invented there. Crowds poured in on weekends, families, couples, sailors, and tourists all drawn to the dazzling chaos of this oceanside playground. But as San Francisco modernized, Playland began to crumble. By the 1960s, the park had become run down, its wooden rides creaking and fading beneath the weight of time. Urban development pressures and neglect sealed its fate. In 1972, Playland was demolished to make way for condominiums. Just like that, the music stopped, the lights went out, and the laughter vanished into the ocean fog. Today, all that remains are memories and a handful of weathered photos. The Pike/Queens Park, California. Just steps from the shores of Long Beach once roared a seaside dream known as the Pike, originally called Queens Park. Opening in 1902, this legendary amusement zone stretched along the waterfront and evolved into a wild, electric mix of roller coasters, arcades, tattoo parlors, freak shows, and carnival barkers. For nearly 8 decades, the Pike was Southern California's unruly playground, a chaotic cousin to Santa Monica's more polished pier. The crown jewel of the Pike was the Cyclone Racer, a massive wooden roller coaster that twisted and screamed out over the ocean on wooden pilings. Its dual-track design gave riders a near-death thrill, and its fame stretched across the country. But it wasn't just about rides. The Pike had a gritty, unforgettable soul. Navy sailors on leave, families in search of cheap fun, and teenagers sneaking onto thrill rides gave the place its pulse. As time wore on, the Pike began to fade. By the 1960s, urban renewal and changing tastes brought decay. The once vibrant boardwalk fell into disrepair. In 1968, the Cyclone Racer was torn down to make way for a widening of Shoreline Drive. It was the beginning of the end. By 1979, the last of the Pike's rides and attractions were dismantled. Pacific Ocean Park, California. Imagine a place where aquatic fantasy collided with mid-century space-age imagination, and you'll get a glimpse of what Pacific Ocean Park, or simply POP, once was. Opened in 1958 on the former site of the historic Ocean Park Pier, this ambitious amusement park was built as a direct competitor to Disneyland, and for a brief moment, it almost pulled it off. Straddling the border between Santa Monica and Venice Beach, POP combined marine-themed attractions with futuristic flair. Guests could ride the Sea Serpent roller coaster, glide over the surf on the ocean skyway, explore the deep-sea adventure submarine ride, or stroll through exhibits featuring performing seals and underwater dioramas. Neon lights, fiberglass whales, and nautical music filled the sea air. For just 90 cents, you could experience a full day of seaside enchantment. But the dream didn't last. Despite its unique design and initial popularity, POP was plagued by financial issues, poor management, and increasing competition from Disneyland and other regional parks. By the mid-1960s, rising crime in the surrounding area and poor access due to the Santa Monica Freeway construction drove attendance into a steep decline. The park closed quietly in 1967. What followed was decay, rapid and surreal. The once vibrant attractions were left to rot over the water. Salt air corroded steel. Vandals and weather tore through its colorful bones. By the early 1970s, the pier was demolished piece by piece, swallowed by the Pacific. Marineland of the Pacific, California. High on the cliffs of Palos Verdes, overlooking the endless blue of the Pacific, once stood a marine dream turned ghost, Marineland of the Pacific. When it opened in 1954, it was the world's largest oceanarium, a shimmering jewel of California's coastline. Families flocked here to witness the wonders of the sea. Dolphins flipping through the air, sea lions barking in unison, and the stars of the show, Orky and Corky, the performing killer whales whose synchronized dives drew gasps from packed audiences. Marineland was more than just a park. It was a symbol of optimism. With its glass tunnels, saltwater tanks, and ocean views, it was a marine fantasy brought to life. Kids pressed their faces to the glass in awe, and marine biologists considered it a groundbreaking facility. But in 1986, that dream was sold, literally. SeaWorld's parent company bought Marineland, promising business as usual. But just months later, under cover of darkness, Orky and Corky were shipped away to San Diego. Staff and locals were stunned. By early 1987, Marineland was dead, shut down, silenced, betrayed. The tanks were drained. The dolphin pools cracked. The stadium stood empty, echoing only the wind. Sky Park at Santa's Village. Nestled among the towering pines of the San Bernardino Mountains, Santa's Village in Sky Forest, California, was once a place where Christmas lived all year long. Opened just 6 weeks before Disneyland in 1955, it was one of the first franchised amusement parks in the country, and for decades, it offered families a whimsical escape into the world of snowmen, elves, reindeer, and the Jolly Man himself. With gingerbread-style buildings, candy cane slides, and real reindeer grazing near Santa's house, the park felt like a holiday dream come to life. Children lined up to meet Mr. and Mrs. Claus, explore the elf workshop, and ride festive attractions with frosted names. For many, a trip to Santa's Village became a cherished family tradition. But over time, the magic faded. Financial struggles, declining attendance, and fierce competition from larger theme parks caused Santa's Village to close its doors in 1998. After that, the once joyful grounds began to rot in silence. Buildings crumbled, decorations rusted, and forest growth crept over cracked pathways like nature reclaiming a forgotten fairy tale. For years, it sat abandoned, quiet, cold, and filled with eerie echoes of children's laughter. Lake Dolores Water Park, California. In the middle of the Mojave Desert lies the haunting skeleton of what was once the dreamiest desert oasis, Lake Dolores Water Park. It all started in the early 1960s when businessman Bob Byers built it for his family. Through the 70s and 80s, it evolved into a public water park, drawing crowds with its massive slides and summertime thrills. In the 90s, it was rebranded as Rockahola Water Park, aiming to revive the site with retro charm and a splash of 1950s Americana. But the dream quickly soured. A series of financial disasters, a tragic employee accident, and multiple lawsuits spelled doom. By 2004, the last echo of laughter vanished, leaving only the dry desert wind howling through cracked pools and rusted metal staircases. Today, the park is an eerie wasteland, colorful slides broken in half, graffiti-covered snack stands, and sun-bleached umbrellas torn by time. The dry lake bed sits motionless, as if mourning its past. Despite multiple rumors of redevelopment, the site remains abandoned, vandalized, and overtaken by decay. and overtaken by decay.